Canada's unemployment rate has risen to 7%, the highest it's been in almost a decade outside of the pandemic. Statistics Canada says there has been virtually no employment growth since January. And nearly 9,000 jobs were added last month, showing little change from April. The job gains were mostly in the wholesale and retail trade sectors, while manufacturing employment was down. The increase in the number of jobs was a surprise for forecasters who expected a dip due to the trade war. I'm joined now by Brendon Bernard. He's a senior economist at Indeed and is joining us now from Toronto. Brendon, thanks for joining us. First off, are the unemployment rate numbers that came out today, were you expecting that?
I was worried that we were going to see worse. So today's job numbers were not great. We saw the unemployment rate tick up to 7.0%. It's the highest we've seen outside the pandemic since 2016. But there were reasons that I was kind of expecting to see a decline. One of those was that just based on what happened in April. So the April job numbers also showed a kind of similar eking out small increase. But helping cause that increase was an uptick in election-related hiring, and that was going to be temporary. And so we knew coming into May that temporary election hiring was going to reverse. And so today's job numbers were going to have to eke out a gain. They were going to have to both offset the reversal of the temporary rise in government employment, plus the ongoing impacts of the trade war, and we saw manufacturing jobs once again decline. So we saw modest gains enough to in the private sector, enough to drive the overall number stronger. It's not a great number by any means, but like one where at least the situation isn't spinning out of control right now.
Yeah, so the overall unemployment rate is 7%. But I want to ask you about the youth unemployment rate, because it sits at 20.1%. And that seems significantly higher. Is that a surprise, or how significant is it that you would see such a high number for youth?
So the overall youth unemployment is actually 14.2%. That 20.1% number is the rate among students who will be returning to school in September. Both numbers, though, are bad. Now, youth unemployment is always higher than the headline national average. But over the past 2 years, as we've seen the Canadian unemployment rate rise, we've seen the situation among youth deteriorate at an even faster pace. And so overall, the Canadian job market for those over age 25, it's not great, but it's not terrible. While among youth, the situation is much more concerning.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would think that especially as we head into the summer months, these are key months. I mean, might we see a change in that unemployment? Because as you say, it's the 14% for those returning. But will we see come April, or come August, that number goes up, or do you anticipate it's going to stay low? And if so, then why? What's the problem?
So all the numbers that Statistics Canada reports are seasonally adjusted. So they're taking into account the fact that every May there are lots of students who, especially from post-secondary school, who start working once their studies end. And so we saw that in today's data as well. But that we see that every year. And so there's statistical processes to adjust for that. And once we take that into account, basically the summer job market started out very flat, and the sort of weak youth employment situation that's built up over the past few years persisted in May. So to put some numbers on that, this May, 56% of youth were working. Last May, it was 57.2%. The May before that, 2023, when the job market was actually strong, it was closer to 60%. So a 4 percentage point drop over the past 2 years, not a great situation. And this is reflecting both trends on the demand side. Employers have fewer job openings, but also a surge in the population of youth in Canada. We've seen Canadian population growth really rapid over the past few years, and it's been especially concentrated among people under 25 themselves. And so we've kind of had these two trends working at cross purposes that have made for a difficult youth job market.
So what do you say to somebody who's young, they're looking for, if not their first job, maybe their second, they're looking for summer employment? What's your advice?
Yeah, well, it depends. Starts with an internal inventory, kind of a sense of, what's your goals for your job search, whether it's a job just for the summer months or longer, and and getting a sense of what are you interested in, what are you good at, what do you like to do. That's kind of like the starting point for a job search, and then starting to do the research on what opportunities are out there. There's both job search websites like Indeed, but also tapping into personal networks, family, friends, classmates, teachers, colleagues, people who might be able to help you get an inside track on a job, but also just have knowledge on the ground of what it takes to enter different sectors of the economy. That's sort of the research phase, both internal and external, and then comes the job search. And then in a market like this year's, where the job search is going to be a bit tougher than what we've seen in years past, it's still important to make the best of a bad situation. If finding a job is your goal, but it's not working out, it's still important to spend the summer months productively, even if obviously working over the summer and earning a paycheck would be your first choice. Either picking up new skills, volunteering, things like that. These are also useful activities, especially for students, kind of like thinking both in the near term, developing their skills, but also thinking about their careers in the longer term.
Brendon Bernard, senior economist at Indeed. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.